Yeah, in terms of our positions for climate change, it's very clear that we are small islands. We are highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. And as we go through this century, this would be a major century for us, a critical century for us, because all of the critical signs of impacts is now evidence everywhere in the islands, the atolls, the low-lying areas where most of our populations are. So our position is very clear. We need to bring down the level of GHG so that we're not going to be having large-scale damage of islands and populations in the Pacific.
And do you feel that countries taking part in these talks, do they recognise the situation you are in? Are you confident that people are sufficiently worried as people back in Samoa and around the Pacific are?
I think there's a general feeling that we can do more than what we are at this stage. I mean, it's quite a complex issues that we're trying to deal with. We are navigators. We have been conquering the Pacific, the vast Pacific oceans, and we managed to develop sustainable living in those islands. Now we have to deal with the influence of globalizations. So it's like a double-edged sword for us. While we try to maintain a sustainable kind of life we used to be in the face of globalizations, but we're having all these most complex and difficult issues of globalization we have to deal with. So we're navigating through these difficult times, and we need all the help we can from the international community to ensure that we are able to advance sustainability into the next level. But we can't do that if all of our islands are lost and all of our low-lying areas, atolls and communities are gone.
Are you getting enough support from the international community? Many countries I know pay particular attention to the Pacific Islands, but on a global level, is there enough being done to ensure that many of your islands do not disappear underwater?
I think more can be done. I mean, we are only 10 million in the 7 billion now or 10 billion now. So it's just a small percentage of the population of this vast area, but we are custodians of the largest ocean in the world, a major regulator of the climate. And I don't think we can afford to lose the way of life that we have developed there sustainably and learn from those traditions and communities. But I think we can do more. I think the international community can do more to bring those greenhouse gas emissions down. I think there's a potential for all of the larger countries to do that more, but unitedly, as we try our best unitedly in the Pacific. We have all the frameworks in place. We have all the communities working together to try and address the issues as best as we can with our cultures and our way of life. But I think the international community can do more than what we are doing right now, and there's potential for that.
I guess for many countries this is an economic issue and a financial issue given the current crisis. For the islanders in the South Pacific, is it becoming, do you feel, a kind of life and death issue?
It's more than an economic and social issue. It's an ethical issue, and I think we should look more at that ethical dimension of climate change, so that we have an equitable and just way of doing it, rather than looking at just the economics of it, or what should go and what should not go, and what should be done and what should not. But let's look at that ethical dimension. What is just and equitable for everyone, not just for the Pacific or small island states, but for everyone in this planet.
And tell me a bit about how the effects of climate change and changing weather systems, warming oceans, are affecting Samoa.
As I say, it's making things more complicated for us, whereas we only have to deal with development impacts. But now we have this another edge of the sword that we have to deal with. So it's exacerbating the adverse impacts already that we are trying to address. And it's a matter of choice, and choice is also that we like the benefits of modern living, but at the same time, we try to develop, create sustainability within those benefits from modern living. But it's making it hard for us when we have the largest double edge of the sword of climate change impacts. So if we can remove that one, then I'm sure we will all be able to do better within the coming years of this century. And we need that time frame, we need that time, that opportunity to do it this century. We can't wait for the next century.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not going to come.
And when you come to a place like Qatar with all the building and investment in infrastructure, do you feel in some way that you're being sort of forgotten and left behind? Countries are developing at such a fast pace. Emissions are almost inevitably rising. Is there any way to really sort of stem the tide?
I think it shows the potential we have with us to do things better. I mean, these are all maybe needed. Maybe you need large buildings and convention centers and all of this. But it shows the potential that we can do far better than what we can now. And I'm sure while things are going there, it may be slow, but can we do it a little bit faster, addressing the issues and bringing down those greenhouse gas emissions and doing the right thing? Can we do it faster than what we have now? Because of those, we may not have the time this century to do it the way we want, with the opportunities we have now. And if it goes beyond this century with 1 meter rise of sea level and rising temperature about 3 degrees, 4 degrees, then we are looking at a different world than we have to deal with. And the other edge of the sword will be much larger to deal with than it is now.